I'm Shannon.
And I'm Holly, and this is a Girls Gone Curious podcast, where we talk about things that make us curious. So, grab your favorite drink, sit back, and relax, because your show is loading. Today's episode includes the following trigger warnings: mentioning topics of armed robbery, sexual assault, domestic violence, and murder. This podcast is not suitable for children. Please listen with care. We do apologize if we say any of the names or places wrong in today's case. This week's true crime category is Listener's Choice. So when we asked a follower what they wanted to hear, they gave us the word Western. So let's get into it.
Western makes me think of out west, where I grew up. Mountains, desert, and crystal clear waters. Western also makes me think of Western movies and outlaws. So today's case is about a couple of outlaws, Bonnie and Clyde. Clyde Chestnut Barrow was born on March 24th, 1909, in Texas, to parents Henry and Cumie. Clyde was a good kid. He was close to all of his siblings, and he loved his mama more than anything. Clyde's father was a farmer, and his mother took care of the home and children. When Clyde was a little older, it became too much for the family to try to make it, and they decided to move to Dallas, Texas in 1919. The farm life had to be left in the hopes that there would be a better financial future for them all. The Barrow family moved into a campground close to town. Several other farming families had already moved there or would move there in the near future. The family would struggle for a while with no money coming in. Eventually, one of Clyde's sisters would buy a home in town. Henry, the father, would build a gas station, and on the backside of it was where the family would live. Side note, there are pictures and videos on YouTube of the Barrow family if you'd like to see it. It is a small gas station, and on the backside is their living quarters, and it is small, so 9 of them fit in that area. So in the back there, right here, that's where the 9 family members lived.
What the fuck?
And this front was the store and gas station part.
Did they not have like a kitchen, or did they have a kitchen?
I honestly don't know. Yeah.
How the fuck did they all fit in there?
Yeah. And it's not like it's a hidden area where they went down like lower like that.
Yeah,
that
like
was
if it had a basement or something.
Yeah, it's very, very tiny.
How the fuck does a family of 9 fit in that?
Yeah. I don't know. It's very interesting though.
But I mean...
But they were all like really close. Like, I mean, they were a very close family.
I get. I mean, you don't have any other choice.
Right? True.
Oh, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm. When Clyde was 16 years old, he decided to drop out of school. He wasn't feeling it, and he thought he was smaller than most of the other kids his age. This was a big deal to him. At 16, this is when his life of crime would begin. It is also believed that it was around this time that Clyde started going by Clyde Champion Barrow instead of Clyde Chestnut Barrow. Champions are remembered and thought to be strong individuals. Strong names carried weight during this time, and he believed he needed that. During this time in 1925, there were so many families that just couldn't make enough money to just get by. Families that had older children would also try to help out by getting jobs. So side note, in case you don't know, the 1920s and the 1930s for some families were truly hard. There were so many families that had to leave their farms because they could no longer afford the costs of running one. They would move to other areas and the land would remain uncared for. Then there was the Dust Bowl and the Great Depression. These were difficult times for so many people. Some of these people would see others that had things that they wanted and couldn't understand why that person had something and they didn't, or they thought that they just wanted the item, so they would take it. There would be a rising interest in stories being told of Robin Hood type heroes that would rob banks. Because of so many factors, including what I mentioned, there would be a rise in the thought process, I'm just going to take what I want.
But I mean, like, when you can't afford something.
Mm-hmm. You got to get another job or multiple jobs, but the other mindset is, I'm just going to take it, which is where this comes in.
Yeah.
Clyde began hanging out with his older brother Marvin, but everyone called him Buck. Buck and Clyde stole some turkeys from an individual and tried to turn around and sell them. Well, the individual that Buck and Clyde stole the turkeys from were actually stolen from someone else. So they were hot turkeys.
Oh, man. Could you imagine that? Stealing some turkeys, but then those turkeys weren't actually those people. They were someone else's.
The police arrested Buck and Clyde, but only Buck was sentenced to a week in jail. Clyde would start to steal bigger things like cars. When he was hiding from the law, he would meet his love, Bonnie. Bonnie Parker was born on October 1st, 1910, to parents Charles and Emma Parker. Bonnie's father would pass away when she was just 4 years old. Her mother would pack up her 3 children and head back to her childhood home in West Dallas, Texas. Bonnie was said to be beautiful, bright, and a very kind child. When she was in high school, she was noted for her creativity and poetry. The area that the Parkers lived in was very poor, and it was a common occurrence that items were stolen. So really no one looked like a second way. Like, it was just like, yeah, it was stolen, so what?
Yeah, it's normal.
Mm-hmm. Bonnie would get a job as a waitress to help her family. At the age of 15, she would meet and marry Roy Thornton.
At 15 years old?
Yeah, she was almost 16. It was said that she was like a week before she turned 16.
Still, I don't mean anything. How old was this Roy guy?
21, I think.
Oh.
No, I'm sorry. I think he was 2 years older than her.
Okay, that's bad. But, damn.
Roy was abusive towards Bonnie, was a heavy drinker, and would often disappear for weeks without saying anything. When Bonnie had had enough, Roy had come home from one of his trips, and she told him she was done and told him to leave. Roy would leave and soon be arrested and convicted of bank robbery. He would be sent to prison. So on his little trips he would go on, he was out robbing banks and... And when he would come home, he would be abusive.
Fucking asshole.
Yeah. So so Bonnie said enough was enough. Bonnie wouldn't meet Clyde until she was 19 and Clyde was 20. They met through a friend, and ever since that day, they were inseparable. They were completely in love with one another. When the two met, Clyde was trying to lay low because he was going to be arrested for robberies he had committed. The police did find Clyde eventually, and he was sentenced to 14 years, but 12 years were to be suspended. On one of the trips that Bonnie came to see Clyde at the McLennan County Jail, she was able to sneak in a .32 Colt automatic. Clyde was able to escape and left the state. He would be picked up in Minnesota and brought back to Texas. With the additional charges brought against Clyde, he would be sentenced to 14 years and sent to the Huntsville State Prison. From there, Clyde would be sent to the East Him prison farm.
Prison farm?
Yeah.
What the fuck is a prison farm?
Side note, the East Him prison farm was built in 1917 in Lovelady, Texas. East Him Prison was the first maximum security site Texas had. The farm is over 12,000 acres, so you can imagine fields, animals, all the things that you would expect on a farm, and it was turned into a prison where they would have to work the fields. Mm-hmm. The prison got its original name because the landowners, before it became a prison, was the East Hims. This prison, when Clyde was there, was known as one of the worst to get sent to. There were multiple reports of inmates being beaten several times and even killed to keep the other inmates in line. East Him Prison Farm is still operational today, but the name was changed in 2021 to the J. Dale Wainwright Unit. It is said that it was changed to this in recognition of a former chairman of the Texas Board of Criminal Justice. In prison, Clyde would meet Ralph Fultz. They made plans to escape, come back with a gang, release all of the prisoners, and kill the guards. This would eventually happen, but it would take some time before it was completed, and it wasn't fully to what they were expecting. While in prison, Clyde would receive letters from his family and Bonnie. He would ask his mom to help get him out of there and tell her about some of the conditions in the prison. Sometime during his time at the prison farm, Clyde would be sodomized by inmate Ed Crowder. Clyde would end up killing Crowder with a pipe, and another inmate who was already serving life in prison said he had killed him. So it was kind of like so Clyde could get out and maybe he could escape when he came back, but he was like, hey, I'll take the rap for it because I'm already getting life in prison. Clyde was different after that. Some called him a rattlesnake and very unpredictable. Clyde would get ordered to do more of the field work at the prison, and he had had enough. The reason why he was having to do more field work was because he changed and he was like defiant. Well, yeah, because he was assaulted. Yeah. And they didn't do shit about it.
I wouldn't be surprised if the guards assaulted.
Oh, yeah.
As well.
Yeah. Some inmates would resort to self-mutilation to get out of the work. Clyde didn't think his mom was going to be able to get him out of there, so he ended up convincing another inmate to cut off a few of his toes.
What the fuck?
It worked. Clyde wasn't required to work in the fields since he had an injury. Unfortunately, Clyde didn't know that his mom was countlessly working on getting her son released. She had started at the local level and worked up to the governor. Less than 2 weeks after Clyde had his toes amputated, he was pardoned by the governor and released. He had to walk out with crutches.
Did it say what toes were he amputated?
It didn't, but I keep picturing this like the middle two, because you need your outers to help with balance.
Yeah.
And then you would have probably the second one, because that's like another strong one. So I'm imagining it's these.
The second and third?
Yeah. Yeah. It didn't say.
The one next to the big toe and the middle.
Yeah.
I would assume those are the ones that you would amputate. Definitely not your big toe, because you need your big toe.
Yeah. Clyde was glad to be heading back home, as you can imagine, but everyone could tell that he was different. He was different in many ways, but one that stood out was that he would get a job. He did get a job, actually, but was let go because police kept coming by. Anytime a crime was committed, Clyde was looked at for it. So they would come by his job and ask him questions. His employer would have enough and fire him. Clyde would get another job, and the same thing would happen. So basically, Clyde said, screw it, and went back to his criminal ways.
I mean, he was probably like, if they're going to accuse me, might as well do something that they can actually accuse me of.
Right. Side note, there was a true fascination with outlaws during this time period. People believed that outlaws were doing more of a Robin Hood type of thing. They were robbing banks, like the banks that took land from the farmers. They were killing officers, like those that would have to remove families from the farm by force if they didn't leave. Bonnie and Clyde were not like some of the other outlaws that robbed big. They mostly stuck to robbing businesses or stealing cars when they needed to. Most of their successes only gave them enough money to get the things they needed. There are accounts that Bonnie and Clyde kidnapped some people along their travels, but they would release them several miles from where they were originally at. Usually the individuals they took cars from. Now, this isn't to glamorize anything or to say that, to give them any leeway in anything. It's just to state that they weren't as bad as some of the other
outlaws.
Yeah, and not to take away from the crimes that they did commit, because they did rob several people. They did kill several people.
And I'm sure they did scare many people too.
Yeah. So Clyde had decided to go back to crime because it was so hard to get a job, having a record, and even if he did get a job, he would lose it anyway, so what was the point, basically? Clyde stated he would not be going back to prison either. So the Barrel Gang, consisting of Bonnie, Clyde, and W.D. Jones, a childhood friend of Clyde's. Buck and his wife Blanche would begin their streak of crime, robbing gas stations, small stores, and an occasional bank. Other members would be Henry Methvin, Raymond Hamilton, Joel Palmer, and Ralph Fultz, but we'll meet them later. After the first robbery in early April of 1932, Buck was caught and sent to jail. Fultz would also get caught and was sent back to the prison farm. Clyde was able to escape. In Texas, late April of 1932, Clyde and Hamilton would rob and kill the Hillsboro shop owner John Buckner. They got away with the money that was in his safe. In June of 1932, Buck's prison sentence was acquitted and he was released. However, for the death of the shop owner, a $250 reward was listed for the capture of Clyde. So Clyde and Hamilton would be on the run. They would end up in Atoka, Oklahoma, where they would rob a packing plant in August of 1932. Officers responded and the gang shot and killed Deputy Eugene M. Moore. Sheriff C.G. Maxwell was also shot, but survived. Clyde and Hamilton got back in their vehicle and exchanged gunfire with the other pursuing officers. While trying to get away, the vehicle Clyde and Hamilton were in would flip close to some railroad tracks. They would run across them and steal another car to get away. Side note, there's a lot in this case. If you can imagine, Clyde would still keep in contact with his family. He would write notes in Coca-Cola bottles, drive by his dad's gas station, and throw the bottle inside. His dad would pick it up, and the family would meet up where Clyde said it would be safe to. Usually it would be in a field. On the note, it would also say how many times to flash their headlights on their car so Clyde would know it was them. So he is literally driving all over Texas, like up and down, up to Oklahoma. He goes up to Missouri.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's got to be a lot of fucking gas money, though.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're robbing places one after another,
you gotta be on the go.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. You're constantly on the go.
Yeah.
Anyways. During one of the trips that Clyde took home, Hamilton would head up to Michigan to see family. During this trip, he would be captured and sent back to Texas to serve out his new sentence of 264 years to be served at the East Him Prison Farm.
Damn.
Yeah. Clyde and Bonnie would meet up with W.D. Jones and head out again after a visit home. In March of 1933, Buck would be released from prison and meet up with his wife Blanche, Bonnie and Clyde, and W.D. So somewhere in there's a little bit of history that got lost because Buck ended up in prison again, but it doesn't say necessarily, or I couldn't find any information on what exactly it was that he had done.
And how long he was supposed to serve or did serve.
Mm-hmm. They would find an apartment on their travels in Joplin, Missouri. This apartment was set up to where it was on top of the garage. In April, money would start to run low, so they would start to look for places nearby to rob. So again, looking for convenience stores, small gas stations, that kind of thing. Neighbors would start to get suspicious of the gang and report them to the police. The police would show up to the apartment, and once they got up to the door, they would be met with gunfire. Constable John Harriman and Detective Harry McGinnis would be killed during the shootout. Officers noted that Bonnie was at one of the upstairs windows and she too was shooting. This was the first time Bonnie was listed as one of the shooters. So before this, they thought it was just the males that were shooting. And then after this, they realized that it was both Blanche and Bonnie were shooting as well.
It could have been they just never seen Bonnie shooting and assuming since she's a female, she wouldn't be shooting.
Yeah. Clyde told everyone to get into the car that was in the garage. He started the car, and with everyone armed, he drove through the garage door, everyone shooting. The Barrow Gang and officers. From Missouri, the gang would split up. Bonnie and Clyde headed back to Texas, more specifically the Wellington area. While traveling, they were crossing the Red River Bridge. They did not know that the bridge was out, and when they drove over it, the car flipped over several times and caught on fire. Bonnie was burned, especially her right leg. Some of the stories said that she was burnt down to her bone.
Gross.
Yeah. The duo would continue on after some care to her leg. Clyde would carry Bonnie whenever she wasn't able to walk. They would head towards Fort Smith, Arkansas, where they would meet up with Buck and Blanche. They would continue moving. The constant movement was to keep police guessing, and Clyde also knew that he could escape prosecution of crimes committed in one particular state if he could cross the state line. The gang made it to a camp of sorts in Platte City, Missouri, in July of 1933. The camp was actually the Red Crown Tavern and Tourist Court. There's pictures online of that one, too, if you want to look that one up. Clyde had noticed it when they were fueling up at a gas station. The tavern had 2 small cabins that were connected by 2 garages. They didn't want to stay too long, but with Bonnie being badly injured, they needed a place to lay low for a few nights. The law was tipped off to where the gang was, though. The police go to the cabins and knock on the door. They explain that they are surrounded and have no way out. A shootout begins. The gang piles into the car and drives through the garage door while shooting, and the officers are shooting at the gang as well. Through the shooting, one of the windows breaks and shards of glass fly into Blanche's eye. Buck is also shot in the head. Clyde is able to drive through the barricade of sorts and get away, though. The gang makes it to Dexter, Iowa around July 20th and take cover in an abandoned amusement park. Police will start to move in on them, but Bonnie, Clyde, and W.D. Jones makes a getaway. Buck and Blanche decided to turn themselves in. Buck and Blanche are taken to the hospital where Buck dies on July 30th. There was reports stating that you could actually see part of his brain, and it was exposed, and that's why
Oh my god.
he died, because, being shot in the head and no way to protect. Yeah. Blanche receives medical care and is arrested. She is sentenced to 10 years in prison. She does end up losing her eye that the glass shards went into, and she has a glass eye. W.D. Jones ends up leaving the gang. The theory was that everything was getting to be too much and he didn't want to die. He would be captured shortly after he leaves the gang. He does get a lighter prison sentence because he goes against Bonnie and Clyde. He made statements that he was forced to go along with what Clyde said and he didn't shoot anyone, let alone kill someone. He told police he believed that Clyde would actually kill him if he didn't go along with everything he said.
Bullshit. He fucking shot people. Or at least shot at people.
Yeah. In January of 1934, Clyde would make good on his promise to go back to the East Tim prison farm and free some inmates, because most of his gang had disbanded by either getting captured or passing away. Before the date of escape, Clyde brought guns to the prison, and they were hidden in the woodpile where some inmates would get their beatings. On the day of escape, Clyde hid in a ditch and Bonnie waited in their car in the driver's seat. It was a foggy day, and Bonnie would begin to blow the horn of the car so that the inmates escaping would know which way to run. One guard is killed during the escape. Hamilton and 4 other inmates are able to escape. They all jump in the car and leave.
All 4, Hamilton plus 4 other inmates, all jump in the car?
Yeah, so the way it sounds is the 4 inmates plus Hamilton, Bonnie, and Clyde.
Must have a decent sized car.
It was a Ford something. That's why I know. He liked his Fords. Passing through Grapevine, Texas, Clyde kills 2 officers, one of them being H.T. Glenn and the other officer Murphy. Bounties are put on Bonnie and Clyde. Bonnie now has a $500 bounty. It doesn't say how much Clyde's bounty was, but I do know that he had a $250 bounty from before. The gang runs up, hitting Oklahoma and heading to Kansas. During that point of the trip, the gang kills Constable Calvin Campbell and kidnaps Chief of Police Percy Boyd. They take him across state lines into Kansas and then let him go. This seemed to be the spark that would set the South on fire, because everyone was on board to find the Barrow Gang at any cost, dead or alive. Hundreds of officers become involved. Some officers weren't sleeping very much as they were doing everything possible to track the gang down. The hunt would continue. So in comes former Ranger Frank Hamer. Francis Augustus Hamer, nicknamed Frank, was born on March 17, 1884. His life holds details of devotion to a life of service through the law. His history includes being a ranger, a marshal, special investigator, deputy sheriff, federal agent, and a senior ranger captain. Hamer would track the Barrow Gang for 102 days, and he learned their habits. For those 102 days, the gang would go on a bank robbing spree. A change would come in the outline of a deal for one of the gang members. A friend of Bonnie and Clyde's, Henry Methvin, was a bank robber before he became a part of the Barrow Gang. Methvin's father contacted the local sheriff's department in Arcadia, Louisiana. The deal was that Methvin would help set up Bonnie and Clyde, and in return, Methvin would get complete amnesty. The police agreed. During this short window, Hamer was able to take a look at one of Clyde's vehicles that had been shot up. He noticed that the bullets never penetrated the vehicle. So because of that, he ordered that the police have a Browning automatic rifle. I'm guessing that one was going to do the job. May 23rd, 1934, the day of the ambush. Somewhere along the way, the rest of the gang disappears. Maybe they are going to meet up somewhere later, but on this day, it was just Bonnie and Clyde, taking some backcountry roads to go to Methvin's family home near Gippsland, Louisiana, where they have gone before. It is believed that Methvin told the two that they could rest up there for a few days, not knowing that he was leading them to their death. The police had messed up Methvin's truck, and knowing Clyde, he would want to stop and check to see if there was anything he could do to help. Clyde knew the vehicle, and it was on the way to the Methvin's home, so it made sense that it was his vehicle. Police were waiting in the brush and trees on both sides of the road. Bonnie and Clyde are driving down that road and begin to slow down to stop. As they drive past that point, police open fire and kill both Bonnie and Clyde. One officer states that he regrets he couldn't take them in alive, but that was just impossible. There are over 150 rounds shot into the car. Some residents thought the logging company had set off dynamite. It was that loud.
Damn.
Yeah. Word spread rampantly everywhere. People wanted to get there as soon as possible to see. People of the town were no different. The car had to be towed into town to the coroner's office. Bonnie and Clyde were covered by a blanket. People wanted to get a glimpse of the outlaws, get a picture of the outlaws, or in several instances, get a piece of the outlaws, literally. As the car was being towed through town, the children that were in school all ran out to see. There was so much commotion and attention that they had to stop the tow. People were looking in the car, sticking their heads in the car, even children. A couple adults pulled the blanket back, and they could see Bonnie and Clyde dead. Now, the images are online. You can see them, and it shows Clyde has his mouth open, his eyes are open, and his face is full of bullet holes. And Bonnie has also. And so, like, all these people are running up to the car, and they're checking. The car is, like, you can count all the bullet holes on the car as well. And everybody, children from the school are running. Children are, like, climbing on the step to get in closer to, like, look at all of them. It's just...
What the fuck?
A very odd phenomenon, I guess, to see these people. So, souvenir hunters.
That's what I just read ahead of, and I'm like, gross.
So, tried cutting locks of hair off of Bonnie, pieces of clothing off of both Bonnie and Clyde. Tried to cut off one or both of Clyde's ears, and one individual was very persistent about trying to get Clyde's trigger finger.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So, people were successful in getting pieces of clothing and locks of hair, but the body parts were still intact.
Yeah, it's not like you can just fucking rip it
Yeah.
off the body.
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming what they did with the clothes and the hair.
Yeah. Well, they're saying that they were cutting him off, so I'm not sure.
If they had like a pocket knife sort of type of thing.
Yeah. I don't know.
Fucking disgusting. Well, and if you were to get a piece of someone's body, do people not realize that
it will
decompose?
Yeah. I honestly don't. I think they were just, because the story was so big and it
famous,
was like, and they just wanted a piece of it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand it, but
I don't either. But it was ordered that there be separate funerals for Bonnie and Clyde. Bonnie had a very small ceremony, and around 150 family members and friends attended. Clyde's family was there as well. 3 miles across town, Clyde's funeral was open for anyone to come. Thousands of people came to Clyde's funeral. Bonnie's family did not attend. It was well known by very many people that Bonnie and Clyde loved each other dearly. They were never apart from one another unless Clyde was in prison, and that didn't stop the several letters and visits when allowed. Bonnie and Clyde knew that they would die together one day, and that's how they wanted it to be, together. Bonnie wrote a poem a few days before they were killed. I don't believe there's a title to the poem, it's just something that she wrote. They don't think they're too smart or desperate. They know that the law always wins. They've been shot at before, but they do not ignore that death is the wages of sin. Someday they'll go down together. They'll bury them side by side. To few it'll be grief, to the law a relief, but it's death for Bonnie and Clyde. So they both knew that they were going to die.
Yeah, probably just not that day.
Yeah.
Most likely.
Yeah. And even in the poem, she says what their wishes are when they die, and it wasn't. Before I go into mentionings, is there anything you want to...
Yeah, so my only thing I wrote down is how much the $250 reward was in the 1932 and the $500 reward was in 1934.
So $500 in 1934 would roughly be over $12,200 today.
Damn.
Yeah. So probably $6,000 or less in 1932.
Probably, yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that was really my only mentioning or question, because a lot of this is, there's not a lot of unknowns about this. It's kind of they did what they did, and
I didn't know all the members of the gang. That was something new that I didn't really look into until we started researching.
Yeah, the only ones I really knew was Bonnie and Clyde, and then I knew that one of them turned on him.
Yeah. I knew of Hamilton and Fultz. I didn't know about Methvin, which I guess would have been one of the important ones to know because he's the one that turned on him.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have. Okay.
Some mentionings that I didn't put in the...
Mentionings that you didn't find a place for in the case above.
Yeah. So there had never been a female outlaw like Bonnie before, so people were truly fascinated by her. She was, like I said, she was very kind, very sweet. Everybody loved her. She was very intelligent, and she was very tiny. She was 4'11", wore size 3.5 shoe, and the pictures of her toting a big old gun is...
Damn.
Yeah, so I'm sure that's why there was such a fascination with her.
Well, also the true crime addicts back then.
True.
Probably started that.
Yeah, thank you. True crime.
Clyde doesn't look as very much taller than she
was. So he was 5'3", I think. So she was 4'11", and he was 5'3".
Very interesting.
Another one is after the Bonnie and Clyde escape plan at the prison was complete, and after the two were killed, it was then a serious look was done into the East Ham prison farm. So not before then. Not with all the reports from inmates.
Of course.
there wasn't anything done about that at that time. I don't know if there was ever any change there. I'm assuming there was, because it's been almost 100 years.
I
Holy
would
crap.
hope so.
Yeah. There are several outlets that show the images of Bonnie and Clyde's crime spree and their death. There is an image taken of Clyde's shirt showing the exit wound that severed his spinal cord. There is also an image of a hat showing some of the bullet entry points in his skull. So if that is something that interests you, there is pictures showing the hat, his shirt, and of course the car itself. With the countless pictures, you can also find the images of the 6 police officers that put an end to the Barrow gang. So another mentioning is Bonnie's mother didn't want to honor her daughter's wishes by burying her next to Clyde. Her mom believed that Clyde had her daughter for 2 years, and this is the aftermath, so she was buried in a different cemetery. Clyde is buried in his family's plot at the Western Heights Cemetery. His brother Buck and his mother are also buried there. There is an empty spot next to Clyde, and that is believed to be left for Bonnie. Bonnie is buried at the Crown Hill Memorial Park and Mausoleum, Inc. Her mother is buried next to her. There are family members that are fighting to get Bonnie moved to be buried next to Clyde. The park where she is buried is refusing, stating it is a court matter. The family is still battling this, and no updates have been found as of January 2024. I know we're in 2026, but I could not find any court documents or any sources saying that this has been...
Yeah. Definitely have to go up on the board.
Yes, definitely. It has been stated that Bonnie and Clyde's story became one of fascination for so many because it is, as many have said, a Romeo and Juliet story with guns. I don't know how many... I lost track at like 20, I think, because it was like so many people were saying that. And maybe that was true. I don't necessarily think of that, because most of the like people that were still alive from that time were talking about it being like a Robin Hood type of thing. So
yeah,
I don't know.
If you want to watch a Romeo and Juliet story with guns, just watch the newer version of Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Right.
It has little games in it.
Yeah.
At the same time, I kind of understand that, because it seems like Bonnie's family didn't like the fact that she was with Clyde.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like Clyde's family cared that he was with Bonnie.
No.
So
they, from what I gathered and the way listening to Clyde's sister Marie talk about Bonnie, it's with like affection, and that Clyde adored her, the family adored her, she was around all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. After the shootout at the apartment in Missouri, a roll of undeveloped film was found during the police search. It was processed, and that is where the pictures you can see today came from. Bonnie and Clyde together, Buck and Blanche together, Bonnie and Clyde holding guns and cigars, etc. It's just crazy. If they would have never found that roll of film, we might not have pictures, except for when they were younger.
Mm-hmm.
If you're interested in driving by the apartment in Joplin, Missouri, you're in luck. It is a historical site as of 2009. The address is 215 West 34th Street in Joplin, Missouri. But it is a private residence, so you won't be able to go on the property. I kind of want to go.
Yeah.
I'm not lying. We can get Dutch Bros on the way.
Yeah. How far is Missouri from here?
I don't know.
It's only 11 hours and 14 minutes.
That's fine.
It's fine.
Totally get Dutch Bros on the way. It's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, we could probably go to that the traveling serial killers museum as well. The traveling one.
Ooh. We need to just make a road trip of just hitting true crime spots.
Yeah. And maybe find out when CrimeCon is and there. That'd be cool.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Anyways.
Yeah, sorry. Totally sidetracked. That's like for just chats, but you know. we're not in the same mindset as we were.
No.
So what happened to the rest of the gang? So the rest of the gang, Roy Thornton was not a part of the gang, but was a part of Bonnie's life at one point. He was her husband. He was killed in 1937 during an attempted escape from East Tim Prison. Ralph Foltz continued living a life of crime until World War II. Then he worked at a shipyard in Mississippi. He married, found religion, and moved to Texas and became a public speaker for prison reform. He passed away in February of 1993. Raymond Hamilton, while serving his 240-year sentence, escaped. He was captured in 1934. He escaped again and was captured in April of 1935. It was said that they were getting tired of him escaping, so they executed him in May of 1935.
Damn. Not even just like a month later.
Yeah.
You know what? You're not escaping again.
Because I think that was his third time. Because he escaped with Clyde. Then he went back to prison. He escaped again in 34. And then escaped again in 35. And they're like, nah, you're done.
Damn.
Marie Barrow, one of Clyde's sisters, was sentenced to 1 hour in prison for harboring.
1 hour?
Yeah, for harboring her brother in the beginning of his initial crimes.
I didn't know you could be sentenced for 1 hour in prison.
I mean, did we get coffee? She lived out her life as an ideal citizen.
That 1 hour must have been life-changing.
Yeah. Blanche Barrow, Buck's wife, had gotten 10 years for her involvement in the gang, but was pardoned in 1939. She moved to Texas, remarried, and they moved to Oklahoma. There, she ran a beauty salon. Her second husband passed away, and she decided to move back to Texas. There, she would get back in contact with the Barrow family. She passed away from cancer in 1988. W.D. Jones spent 17 years in prison. He married and lived in Texas. When his wife died, he returned to his life of crime. He was killed in a drug deal in 1974. And this one is interesting to me. Henry Methvin granted pardon for the 2 murders for turning in Bonnie and Clyde. He would kill an Oklahoma officer and sentenced to death. His sentence would be changed to life in prison when his involvement with the setup of Bonnie and Clyde's death became known. He was pardoned. After that, he worked in a factory during World War II. In April of 1947, he was very drunk and was either pushed onto the train tracks or he fell onto the train tracks. He was killed on impact by a train.
Damn.
So he turns on his buddies who he had a part in killing officers. He gets amnesty for his involvement in that. And then, so it's wiped clean. And then he goes and kills another officer when he's in Oklahoma or lives in Oklahoma, whatever it is. Gets sentenced to death. That gets changed to life. And then he gets pardoned again because everything is found out about what he did for
Bonnie and Clyde, or like the officers.
Yeah.
But that's already a done deal.
So he's killed like 3 officers and gotten away with it.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Just because he helped set up Bonnie and Clyde's death.
Yeah.
But the thing is, he took a part in the criminal activity that they did.
Right. And he actually shot and killed a couple officers while he was in the gang. So,
yeah.
Yeah. And that's what his father had called to talk to the sheriff's department about, is like, hey, if my son does this for you, you have to give him amnesty.
That's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Yeah. So that was the case of Bonnie and Clyde, and I can see where the fascination comes from.
I wouldn't mind going to... Is the car at the museum?
I think so, yeah.
I wouldn't mind going to look at, like, that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to go to, like, any places where there's been a brutal, like, murder.
No, I wouldn't either.
Like, I don't think I'd want to go to the...
Like the site, like where they were killed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I could do that either.
Or, like, how people were trying to go to, like, the Ed Gaines house. I wouldn't want to go somewhere like that. Or the Lizzie Borden's. I don't know if I'd want to go to that house. I mean...
I might do, like, drive-by, but I ain't going in there.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to go in. Now, maybe, like, a museum where they had, like, artifacts. Not, like, actual... Not, like, the Zach Museum of Horrors where it has, like, actual pieces of victims and everything. I would not. No.
No, thank you. So the car that Bonnie and Clyde were killed in is actually in a museum in Primm, Nevada.
Primm, Nevada?
Yeah.
It's so weird where these things end up.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes they don't even end up, like, in the state.
Yeah, they're nowhere near this. Unless it's a traveling exhibit. That's the only thing I can think of if it's, like, a traveling exhibit. But otherwise, it looks like it's there.
Because, I mean, in Nevada, did they even travel to Nevada?
I don't think so.
Because I know you said there's Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri. They went up to Michigan, right? I think.
Yeah. People say that when you could see the car, when they went to see the car like 40, 50 years ago, you could still see the bloodstains on the car. And it's like, well, yeah, that was, then, and it's still aged now, and who knows what has happened.
It's all been.
Yeah. In some of the pictures of, like, Clyde's clothing, you can see that they have definitely been washed. And it said that the police gave the clothing back to Clyde's mom, and she washed them before returning them.
Why would she return them, though?
Evidence. Maybe, like, part of it. I don't know. To be given.
But, I mean, like, if it was evidence, she washed it.
Yeah.
Damn.
So, yeah, the video I'm watching right now, it says that it's in Whiskey Pete's Casino, looks like. In Nevada, in Primm, Nevada.
Interesting. And just think about how many books, how many movies, how many TV shows, how many whatever out there has talked something about this. I'm sure it's, like, endless. Probably.
Yeah. It's amazing to me. Like, you can, like, looking at the car, like, even secondhand as I am, the glass is, like, shattered in almost every window. And the driver's side door is just a wow.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much all the things that... I mean, I already went over what I wrote down, and so...
And I don't have anything. I mean, that was...
It's pretty, like, open and shut.
Yeah.
Not really any questions. Our hearts go out to the victims in this case and all individuals affected. With that is all we have for today. Thank you for listening. If you like our podcast, please hit that follow or subscribe button. If you have any questions or comments, you can find us on Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at Girls Gone Curious Podcast. Until next time.